cavern. Caithness rock is a type of rock called sedimentary sandstone. It was created on the seabed of an ancient shallow sea. Because it was created as layers of sediment, it erodes into ledges. There's also vertical cracks. So you've got vertical and horizontal weaknesses. And over the centuries, that's allowed rocks to fall and form this tunnel. Further into the tunnel, you can see daylight. The roof is collapsed in there, and eventually all of the roofs of the tunnel will collapse. And there are two islands separated by a narrow channel. I know that can happen, I just have no idea how long. The triangular hole on the right, that's the entrance to a tunnel. There's a tunnel goes all the way through this headland. You can swim or canoe in there and come out from the other side. A hole through the headland. Now that is a sea cave. Even at high tide the sea doesn't keep that bed, but that is a sea cave. The rocks that make up Caithness, the seabed almost as far as Norway, north to Orkney and 50 miles south, that rock was not created what it is today. That was the seabed of an ancient shallow sea that covered that area. At some point, that massive sea was in a different continent 10 degrees south of the equator more than 400 million years ago. At some point, that continent broke apart, part of it drifted north and rose up. And while it was near that, what are now cliffs in Caithness has been at the level of an ancient sea, and that sea has eroded trees that are now above the modern sea level. We call this cave Cathedral Cave. It's just like the nave of a cathedral. To my eye, This cave appears to be eroding a little bit more quickly to the left. The next cave we go into is eroding to the right, and it's through this rock face. So I don't think it unreasonable suggesting in the distant future there'll be a tunnel here.
Oh well. Very high as well, isn't it?
William's just illuminating that back wall.
Yeah. Stunning it.
The other picture of this cave is with a lovely dome roof. Now in some caves, the roof is eroded all the way through to the cliff top and you get a blowhole. In Caithness we call that as loop. Loop is another Norse word, meaning a ravine or a steep fall. We use it for a blowhole.
Loop. 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 Loop.
Loop. Although even then there's arguments about how you spell it because it's Old Norse.
Alright.
And most of that was never written down. Confirmed that this is the biggest sea arch on the coast of the United Kingdom. The underside is 35 metres above the water.
Wait till it's vibrating.
Is it this that's vibrating?
Yes, because when you're turning it too fast, the gimbal's like kind of going too far.
Smile.
All these inlets are called gills, and that's another word that has come to us from Norse. We think it's come from the Norse word gja, G-J-A. In Old Norse, a gja was a steep-sided rocky inlet, and it's been anglicised to gill. They've all got names. This one's called Ashigil. If you want to stand up.
Thanks, man. Didn't quite prep for that.
The Heritage Centre in which there's the Dodson collection of old photographs. One of them shows ladies in long skirts on top of this arch. Looking at the style of the clothing, it was taken about 1900, 1910. Not yet, but it's going to. That arch will collapse. I know that's going to happen, I just don't know how long it's going to take. Because what it will create is a stack, and we've got lots of stacks around the coast. That's the way they're created. But this particular one has already got showing signs of weakness. There's a hole in the middle and cracks going up, so the arch collapses. This opens up, and we get two stacks side by side. But the one nearest the sea, again, looks as though it's been undercut. But that's a softer layer of rock. The sea will pound at that, and the stack will eventually become unstable and fall over. So we're in the guidebooks and online guides. They've all got names. My favourite has always been Trevor, I Can See Your Shoes. I got a very strange name for a rock climb. So there must be a story. And I thought I'd never find out until few years ago, one of the local climbers was on the boat and I asked him, and he explained, they always climb at least in pairs for safety. They abseil down, slide down the rope, one will stay at the bottom and protect his partner as they climb. When they get to the top, they give protection to the second climber going up. We've come now to what is probably the biggest dry sea cave on the coast of Caithness. And again, I say sea cave, even though it's way above sea level. This cave, was created by an ancient sea when the rocks that are now cliffs in Caithness were much further south. An ancient sea eroded the cave, and then plate tectonics, the forces that create earthquakes, even today, moved the rock north and allowed it to rise. So the cave is now above the modern sea level. If you look into the back wall, there's a patch of sunlight up at the back wall. That's not coming in to the front of the cave. That's coming in the top of the cave because most of the roof of the cave is missing. There's a great big blowhole there, a great big breach. And that's a feature you can be very aware of walking on the coast of Caithness. That's a big one, and I would think is pretty obvious, but some are much smaller, just 2-3 feet across, and they're very well hidden in the rock. So when you're walking anywhere near the cliff, always... Just go slowly past this bay. We sometimes get grey seals in here. There's a waterfall on the right. Not much water coming over. We haven't had much rain recently, but this waterfall is man-made. There was a water-powered mill up on the cliff. It's now a private house, and to guarantee the water supply, they dug a mill pond. This is overspill from the mill pond. There's a second waterfall directly in front of us. That's completely natural. That comes from a small loch about 1.5 miles inland. When the wind blows... Watch your camera. Oh, it's going to get wet.
Oh yeah, no, thanks.
Anybody got a birthday?
You in a couple of weeks.
You're due a birthday. Right. Put your stuff here. Leave your glasses on the seat. Put you a birthday. Get ready to video this. Just stand up there. Watch the camera, Leo. Watch the camera. It's going to get wet.
It's got right there.
Should I be scared?
So Titanic.
Quite refreshing.
Like herbal essence.
Give a round of applause, guys. You only do it once. I do that 3 times a day.
You get a shampoo.
In the Highlands.
That's the secret, isn't it?
This inlet is Black Geo. The next inlet is Wallago. The name of the field is not work yet. Even though historically there's been fishing from this bay as far back as 1640. So there must have been some sort of path down the cliff. It zigzags down the cliff. When they were first built, there were said to be 365 steps. But over time, some have been lost, especially at the top. There's now 338. Nice when you've got people on it, it gives it some sort of sense of scale.
It's a decent climb as well. It's not bad. Yeah.
At the bottom here, there's a big wall, and they backfilled that with a rubble from the cliff and created a flat workspace about the size of a tennis court. That's called the Bink. And when it was in use, the perimeter of the Bink had big poles set into it, a bit like telegraph poles, and they were linked by ropes that were used as drying lines for the sails and the nets. At this end of the wall, there were 2 fireplaces. The grating was where they heated tins of pitch or tar that they painted in the upturned hull to waterproof them. Above the other fireplace, there was a tub called a barking tub. They heated water in it, soaked tree bark, and extracted tannin from the tree bark to use as a preservative for the sails and the nets. And difficult to imagine now, but at its peak, there were 30 little boats working from this bay. From time to time, they had to get them out of the water, either because there was a storm coming in from the east and there's no protection, or they wanted to repair a boat. To get the boat out, they used a winch. The remains are up on the right-hand side. A rope went from the winch to the cliff face. On the end of the chain set into the cliff face, there was a pulley block. You put the rope round the pulley block, bring it out to the boat, winch it up onto that bit of beach, manhandle it across the rocks. Where the chains are set in, the cliff there has actually been blasted out. That's not natural. They've actually blasted away at the cliff to give themselves a little bit more workspace. The natural cliff is the light grey colour to the left, where there's a white cross.
Okay guys, just stand up again, stretch your legs, move back now slowly, so stretch your legs.
Area west of Walligo. In the mid-1800s, the fishermen that landed at Walligo had a falling out with the people on shore, the curers. Curing fish is the process of cutting and salting it. It's controlled by individuals known as the curers. They employ the women to do the work, buy on the salt and the barrels and sell the product out to the marketplace. And the fishermen had a disagreement, probably over money, so the curers stopped them landing at Walligo. But they still had to have an income, so they came round here to west of Walligo, got an old boat upturned on that bit of beach, used that as a landing platform for the baskets of fish, and again, probably carried by the women on their backs, the fish were taken up that narrow V-shaped gully.
Oh wow.
And you think you have a hard time.
Yeah.
After a few weeks, they sorted out the differences and they went back to Walligo. Have you seen the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? It's where Indiana Jones is looking for the Holy Grail. Sean Connery plays his father.
Yeah.
And towards the end of that movie, Indiana Jones has to undertake a series of deadly tasks. The last of which is called the Walk of Faith. He walks out of a doorway in a cliff face, over a stone bridge, over a chasm, but the bridge blends into the walls of the chasm. You just have to have faith that it's there and walk confidently across it. Here's Caithness's answer to the Walk of Faith.
Oh wow.
I've had people on the boat who have walked over that.
Wow.
I am not one of them, and I will not be one of them.
I don't know if I could.
What's probably happened here, we've had a cave eroded. The roof of the cave has then developed a blowhole. That gloop has got bigger and bigger until all that's left of the roof of the cave is this narrow strip. And eventually that strip will fall and we'll just have a gale here, an inlet.
Ah, right, yeah. That's probably good down. Houses. Yeah.
This bay is Sarclet. Thomas Telfer was not impressed by Walligo. But he came here and said, excellent spot to develop as a fishing station. You didn't need steps to get down to the beach. There was sufficient space to build a substantial track. It starts on the edge of the cliff in front of the building and goes down round the back of a bay in a steady slope. It's overgrown now, but in its day it was wide enough for a horse and cart. At the bottom there was plenty of room to build a big storehouse. So they would use that for storing spare sails, nets, ropes, other bits of equipment, but especially salt. Salt was used in massive quantities to preserve the fish, and it was imported from Spain and Portugal. So it was a valuable commodity that you wanted to keep secure and dry until you used it. To the left of the building, there's a doorway in a wall. Just inside that doorway, there's a freshwater spring. They lined a hole with Caithness flagstone, created something a bit like a kitchen sink that naturally fills with fresh water. So you've got the bonus of fresh water at your workplace. To the left of that again, just sticking out of the grass, you see the top of a capstan. A capstan is a vertical winch, a much stronger, more powerful winch than the little one at Walligo, because the boats that worked from this bay were much heavier. You needed a stronger winch to get them out of the water. Later a clean, the rock that was separate is known as a cleft, and from a cleft we get sarclets.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Different feature here. In this cave, above our heads to the right, there are stalactites coming off the roof of the cave.
Gave when I was wee.
You remember that?
All the stuff about. Yeah.
We've actually got I've got 4 entrances into this cave. There's a big one we come in, there's one here, and there's another 2 behind. So when the sea's going the way it is today, it gets quite confused in here. Anything more than it is, we can come in here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all that is.